This myth started in 1945 when the Food and Nutrition Board of the US National Research Council said that adults should take in about 2.5 litres of water a day, about 8 glasses. Most media outlets just reported this part, and they forgot to mention that we get most of this through food. I think we overdo it a little bit when it comes to being hydrated. Most of us are not in a dehydrated state, so chugging this much fluid every day is probably unnecessary unless you're exercising or sunbathing in the Sahara. Our bodies are very good at regulating our fluid levels and telling us if we're dehydrated. If you're thirsty, drink. If you're not, you're probably fine. The movie Lucy shows Scarlett Johansson going from normal human to having ridiculous superpowers with the help of a drug that unlocks the dormant 90% of her brain. This is of course nonsense, perfect for Hollywood but not based in reality. But having said this, it's a myth with a surprising amount of staying power because it hints at the untapped potential of the human, a really powerful concept. Like unleashing a tsunami of brain power. If only we could just take this drug or do this course or eat this way or fill in the blank. The 10% brain myth has really been an awesome marketing gimmick for over a century. Look at any brain scan measuring activity and at any given time and you won't see any big dormant areas. Your brain is constantly active, including during sleep, and involved in all the conscious and unconscious activities of our body. There are still things we don't fully know about the brain. That is very much true, like consciousness and memory, but that's a big stretch to having brainiac superpowers. I'm definitely guilty of this one, and I think most parents are. This myth began with a very small study in the 70s which found that when sugar was removed from a single child's diet, that child's behaviour improved. After this, many larger studies came along to confirm this, but none of them ever proved that sugar affects kids' behaviour. Interestingly, researchers have found that parents are much more likely to say that their kids are more active when they think they've had sugar. In one study, parents were asked to rate their child's hyperactivity after consuming a drink with sugar. Unknown to the parents, the drink was sugar-free, but the parents still rated their child as being more hyperactive. Sugar is usually given at times when the rules are loosened and there are other kids around, like birthday parties and holidays, so there is a behavioural element that keeps the myth going strong. I've actually had a few patients randomly ask me this in the past, so I thought it was a good one to include. Many ingredients in gum, elastomers, resins and waxes are indigestible, but that doesn't mean they hang out in our guts for 7 years. Plenty of what you eat, even things you are recommended to eat, such as fibre, is indigestible. But the digestive system is a robust piece of machinery, and anything it can't absorb, it just moves along. Despite the stickiness and strange consistency of gum, it passes right through. In very rare cases, swallowing multiple pieces of gum regularly can cause food impaction, or sometimes constipation, or even a bezoar formation in kids. This is when a weird compacted mass of stuff forms in the tummy like hair and sticky materials like gum that gets trapped. This myth is more of an optical illusion than anything. At first glance, it does look like nails and hair continue to grow after death, and this couldn't be disproved for a long time. But what actually happens is that as the body dries out, the skin retracts, making the nails and hair more prominent by seeming longer or more obvious. Shaving is just a method of cutting the hair at the skin's surface. Shaving removes the dead portion of hair, but not the living section lying below the skin's surface, so it doesn't actually affect the rate or type of growth. Although the hair may seem to grow faster after shaving, this is just another optical illusion. The appearance of a small amount of growth on a clean-shaven face is much more noticeable than a small amount of growth on a bearded face. And new hair hasn't been lightened by the sun or chemicals, which also gives the illusion of darker hair. The sound of cracking joints might be annoying, but that's about all the harm it does. Knuckles are the joints between your fingers and your hands. These joints are surrounded and lubricated by synovial fluid, a thick, clear liquid. When you crack your knuckles, you're causing the bones of the joint to pull apart. This causes a gas bubble to form in the joint, and the cracking or popping sound you hear is the breaking of the adhesive seal in the joint. If you like doing this, carry on. It doesn't actually cause arthritis, but it can cause your joints to become a bit sore if you overdo it. How many hours of awesome summertime swimming have been wasted on the altar of this myth? This one originated over 100 years ago in a Boy Scout handbook, and it warned that boys that didn't wait at least 90 minutes to swim after eating might drown. The concern was that after eating, blood gets diverted to your gut to help with digestion. If you swim, that would divert the blood away from the gut, causing gut cramps and a risk of drowning. Or that you'll drown because you can't get enough blood to your limbs to swim because they're so busy digesting food. Neither of these are true because it's not like the blood just goes to either your gut or your limbs. It gets shared to how and where it's needed. So if you fancy a dip after lunch, go right ahead. The short answer to this is no. Sweat is made up of water with a small amount of salt, carbohydrate, and protein. None of them are toxins. We remove toxins like mercury, alcohol, and drugs via our liver, kidney, and intestines. You can't sweat these away, no matter how long you spend in the sauna. Interestingly, we can sweat out some pollutants, but the levels are minuscule and generally meaningless. What I mean by pollutants are things like pesticides or flame retardants and BPA from plastics found in the environment that we slowly imbibe and are usually stored in fat. We're not sure how bad these things are for us, but either way, almost nothing is lost through sweating, and we definitely lose more through urine anyway. Whatever, it's fair to say that heavy sweating is not the equivalent to a whole body detox, whatever that is anyway. Don't believe the hat salesman. You don't lose most of your body heat through your head. This myth began in the 50s and was part of a US Army field manual that claimed that 45% of your body heat is lost through your head. This heat loss myth was debunked in 2006 when scientists found that only about 7 to 10% of total body heat is lost through your head. In other words, perfectly proportional to the amount of skin on the average human head. That's it. Thanks for listening. Till next time, stay healthy.